Hello, Mike here from the Hounslow digital team, and welcome to the Hounslow Connect video training series. So in this video, we're going to look at how to add a service listing to the platform. So this video assumes that you've already signed up, that you've already added your organization as well. So if you haven't done those two things, then you need to go back and watch the first couple of videos in the series to make sure that you're onboarded properly. So let's begin. So we're going to go to the Hounslow Connect website, and we're going to scroll down to the bottom and click on the members area button, which will take us through to what hopefully should be a familiar interface by now. I'm going to log in, and again, just remember that you may get asked when you log in to enter a two-factor authentication code that will get sent to your mobile number. This may or may not be enabled or disabled depending on the circumstances at the time. So once you're logged in and you've got to the dashboard, what we're going to do is we're going to click on the Services tab at the top. And you'll see, we're carrying on from where we left off in the last video, that we've not added any services yet. So we've got our organisation, basic information, but we haven't specified what services that organisation offers. So we're going to click on the Add Service button. And we'll get an information page that just sets some expectations as to what's going to happen over this next this process. So we're going to be asked for information about the service, and you'll also note that this could take quite a long time depending on how much information that you want to put on here. So it's just important to make sure that we do this in one sitting, because we can't save the progress of this, so you have to sort of submit this form in one go. And it's also worth noting as well, just as we mentioned in the last videos, about the auto timeout. So if you are inactive for 20 minutes or more, then you will get logged out automatically. So it's just really important that we've got the information to hand that we need to put into the platform, and we do this in one sitting. So there is also a general point about quality of data, and actually quality of data is super important, because if the quality of data that we put onto this isn't that great, that's going to have a direct impact on how it's going to look on the front end of the platform, and how potential users and beneficiaries and stakeholders will actually see this information. So it's really important that we try and take the time now to curate that information and make it the best that it can be in the right format that's accessible and engaging. So it really is worth taking the extra time now to do that, so that your listing looks really good. So we're going to click on Continue, which will then get us through to the form. There's just some guidelines at the top, which just sort of instructional information that once we've submitted this form, is not going to be made active straight away, because it has to be reviewed by the central team. So it goes through what we call an update request process. If there are any issues that the team spots, or maybe there's a typo or something that doesn't quite look right, then they will get in touch with you and you will be able to rectify that. And if there are any issues or questions that you have whilst filling this form out, again, we're always contactable on the email onehounslow@hounslow.gov.uk. So I'm just going to scroll down, and you'll see here that there are a number of different tabs that we can look at. So we've got the Details tab, Additional Information, Good to Know, Eligibility, Description, and Referral. And so I'm going to talk you through each of these tabs. This video is going to be very much focused on sort of an introduction to this form, and then in the next video we'll do a bit more of an advanced video around things like adding locations, adding opening hours, editing images so that they're the right format and the right size. And so some of that you'll see when I'm uploading a service. I might upload a logo, will be automatically in the right format, but if we watch the next video I can show you how to do that. So here we've got the service details, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a service. I'm just going to add an example service, just using the council's information, just to highlight how this might work. So first of all, I'm going to scroll down, and we can see here the first question that we're asked is, what type of service is this? So we've got some options here as, is it a service, is it an activity, a club, or a group? So that's up to you and how you define what your service is. You know, there might be some really clear things that this is a group or this is an activity. If you're not sure, just keep it as a service, and it's just the wording that we use to describe what your service is. So the next question is, what is the name? So this is really important. So this is the name of the service rather than the organization. So if you offer a befriending service as part of your organization, then maybe you would call your service, befriending. So this isn't the name of the organization, but the name of the service that you're offering. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type into here, Hounslow Council Test Service. I'm also going to select the organisation. So this drop-down list will be populated with the different organisations that you have access to. And in most cases, and certainly our case here, we've just got access to our own organisation, which is Hounslow Council Test. It will then ask us for some information about the website address, which I'll add in. And you can optionally upload a logo. And if you've got a logo for the service, then it would be great to have that uploaded. So I'm just going to select the Hounslow crest as the logo. And again, if you watch the next video, I'll talk you through exactly how you can create images in the right format, the right size, and all of that. And then finally on this screen, we get asked if we want to upload some images of the services to the gallery. So again, if you've got some great photography of the service in action, you might have some stuff on your Facebook or Instagram or other social media that you could maybe go to, download those photos and upload them here. And it really helps kind of make that page much more engaging for potential people who are looking at it. So I've got some example images that I'm just going to add just so that you can see how this interface works. So I'm just sort of clicking, you can add as many as you like, and once you click on add, you select the file that you want to upload, find it on your computer, and it uploads it straight away. And you can see here I've uploaded 3 images, and if I don't, if I've uploaded one by mistake, then I can click delete and remove that image. So I'm going to upload those 3 images because I think they're really nice. And at the bottom of the form, we've then got the next button. So clicking on next will then take us through to this next tab. You can also just click on these tabs to navigate through them. So you don't have to use the next button at the bottom, but it's just another way of navigating through the different fields here. So the second tab is all about additional information. So this first question is about the wait time. This might not be applicable for a lot of people, but if, for example, you have a waiting list for people to access your service, you could indicate here how long that might be. So if you know that usually it takes 2 weeks for someone to be sort of referred to you through to them then sort of being accepted or to able to then access the service, you might want to indicate that. Crucial question here around cost. So there's a simple question, first of all, about is it free? So is this particular service that you're adding, so in this case, let's just say it's a befriending, is that service free to access? So it's either yes, it is free, or no, it's not free, and that can also be, there are elements of it that aren't free, but as well. So we then get asked 2 subsequent questions around, well, how much does it cost, if that's applicable? And in here we can say anything from, it could be from £5 per session, for example. You can also optionally link to a pricing page or a table or a document. So if you've got a website that has got more information about pricing, because maybe it's just not as straightforward as it's just this amount, it might be dependent on certain factors, then you can copy and paste a hyperlink into this field. And if you do that, it will then display on your listing page to say, go here for more information about the pricing for that. So I'm just going to leave it for now. I'll just leave it as from £5 per session. We then get asked if we want to add a quote or a testimonial from a previous user or client or customer, whatever the language is that we're using for our service. So we can add something in there. So for example, we might want to say, this service is amazing and changed my life. And this will be displayed in a really nice sort of speech bubble aspect on your listing. And so you could add this to really help with the engagement and selling your service to potential users or clients. Next question that we're asked is about if we have a video that we might want to display. So you might have a YouTube video that someone has recorded that sort of highlights what the service is all about, that you can include. So here, for example, I'm going to copy and paste a link to a YouTube video, and that YouTube video, you can also copy and paste a link to a Vimeo as well. So YouTube and Vimeo are the two platforms that are supported, and you just have to copy and paste the link. The platform will do the rest. It will embed the video on your page for you automatically. Again, this is all optional stuff, so if you don't have a video, don't worry. But if you do, absolutely, let's include it. So we're moving now on to the contact information. And so here, this information is public facing, so this is about who that person might contact in order to, if they want more information about the service. So just be aware that this is public information. So if you don't want to specify a specific person, then you can just say, for example, contact reception. It could be the contact name, and you can then pop in an email address and a phone number that you don't mind being public facing that people can use to get in touch with you. So I'm going to click next because that's it for that section. And as we move on to the good to know section, so here, this is again, it's an optional section, but if you look at the drop down, these are some suggested headings that we might want to fill out. Again, it's data that we are capturing separate from the description, the general description, which we'll get to in a minute. So this is some very specific bits of information that we might want to give. So things like how do you get here? So maybe there's some directions that you want to provide, how you might sign up, how you're going to be meeting. It could be that we meet in the park at a certain location. What to wear, what to bring. So if there are physical aspects to this, it could be that you need to specify, wear sensible footwear, or make sure you bring a pen and paper, for example. Parking, so you might want to specify some information about how what the parking situation is. So if I put in here that there's limited parking, for example, at Hounslow House, and that they need to use a pay and display elsewhere. And you can actually add multiple of these. So if you want to add information about parking, and maybe I want to add some information about how people can keep up to date with the service as well. So I might just put into here, follow us on our social media channels or sign up to our newsletter, for example. And you'll see when we look at the listing page shortly how this information is treated differently to the other ones. And again, this is all about trying to make that engagement really high and not present users with just a block of text. Actually, how can we split this content into different sections and make this really engaging? So if you do want to specify any of this, then go ahead. This is completely optional, so if it's not applicable for you, you can just skip it and click next. So we now come on to eligibility, and this is a really important concept that will help your service come up in the search rankings on the website, and it will really help your service be put in front of those people who are absolutely the right kind of people to access your service. So it might be, for example, that your service has no restrictions on things like age or disability or gender. It might be that your service is open to absolutely everybody, and you don't have to fit into one of these categories. So you could say that my service is open to all genders. And if that's the case, you can leave all of this exactly how it is and just click next, because by default we assume all services are open to everybody. However, there are certain circumstances where, for example, a service might be restricted to ages. So it could be that they're a scout group, and actually, this service is specifically aimed at 5 to 11 and 12 to 15-year-olds. And so you can tick one or more of these options, and if you do that, it will then limit it. It will be very clear on your service listing page to say there is an age restriction to this service, and it will actually be very specific to say this service is aimed at 5 to 11-year-olds or 12 to 15-year-olds. So if you take any of these options, it will be very explicit on the service page, as you can see on screen now as an example. Again, similar with some of these other fields as well. If the service is aimed specifically at people with dementia, for example, you can tick that box. And that just means that people who are going onto your page know exactly whether or not that service is applicable for them, and they can make that assessment. If, for example, let's say language, let's say that your service is specifically aimed at Spanish speaking communities, then, and that's not an option on here, then you can, under each of these different headings, specify your own criteria. So if you specify, it could be aimed at the Spanish communities. And that text will appear directly on the page. The good thing about using these predetermined options is that they are replicated on the front end of the platform, so someone can specify their age brackets they're looking for and really filter. There could be 100 different services aimed at people with dementia, and actually if you want specific age groups on top of that, then it can really help filter the results for the users. So this is a really powerful concept. Like I say, it might not be applicable for your service or for every service, and that's absolutely fine. If it's not, you can just leave it and move on. But if your service does have some restrictions under any of these headings around age, disability, gender, income, language, or ethnicity, then you can choose to specify. So with eligibility, let's move on to description. And so here, this is the chance now to provide more information that we haven't already provided. So we don't really want to repeat ourselves. If we've said that this service is aimed at these certain ages, we don't really have to restate that in here. So this is for any other information. So we might want to, under what the overview is, so just as an example, here's a quick one-liner about what this service is about. And this field here, this service overview, is a really important field because that is your chance to really sort of sell your service in as few words as possible, really. And this is what's going to get shown in the search engine results on the platform. So this is your chance to really sort of try and communicate what your service is to potential people who can then click on it to find out all of this extra information. So we'll then also move down to long description, and this is more of a chance to fill out information about much more about the service. So you might want to really sort of describe a little bit in more detail as to what people can expect and what it's all about, who it's aimed for, and all of that. And within here, you can see that this maybe looks sort of quite sort of text blocky. This is just some example content that I've copied from Wikipedia. But you do have the options up here to actually add and format some of this content. So a bit similar to like Microsoft Word, where you can actually add in some headings. You can sort of add hyperlinks. So I can sort of highlight some words. So let's just say I'm going to highlight this and click on the link button, and it will then come up asking for a URL. So I can type in here, let's just say Google, and that will then hyperlink that text. So if you want to link out to your website or to some other documents, you can see an example here of bullet points, and we can change those to number points as well. You can make things bold and italic. So it gives you some styling opportunities to make your content much better in terms of formatting and kind of the meaning behind it. And the final thing that actually I missed is about what you offer. So this is an opportunity to really be quite specific about, well, what specific things does your service offer? So it could be, in my case here, about the council, I might say, well, the council offers council tax, and it offers, waste collection, and it offers schools, and it offers social care. So you can define here sort of really quite succinctly the different sort of things that that service specifically offers. And again, all of this is just trying to break the content up into bite-sized, manageable chunks that we can display in a more engaging way for the users. So that's I'm pretty happy with that description. I've got a really good, short, snappy, informative overview. I've defined the exact services that this offers, and then I've also put in a nice long description and made use of the formatting. So to me, this really is starting to look like a good quality service. The final thing to touch on, which is its own video later on in this video series, is about referrals. And this just introduces the notion of it and sort of says if you want to accept referrals, then we need to get in touch with the admin team to enable them for us. Referrals are a great way of being able to accept sort of referrals through our platform at a kind of quite a base level. And I do recommend you check out the video later on about referrals and how they work, if that's something that you're interested in enabling. So once you have filled out all of this information, you can go through these tabs and just double check that you're happy with everything, and just give it that once over. And I think I'm pretty happy here. So I'm going to click the Create button, which is on the last tab. So once you've gone through all of these different tabs, we can then hit this Create button. So what this is going to do is this is going to do an update request. So all of our information that we've just put in is going to send this information to the central team, who will review it. So everything you've just typed in has been saved, and they will review it and hopefully approve it. If there are any issues with the content that you've put in or the information, then they will get in touch with you, and you'll be able to rectify that and then get that approved again. So it's not live straight away, but once the team has approved it, you will then be able to look at it on the front end platform. So that concludes this video on how to add a service. Do check out the next video, which will cover how you can add some locations to this. So you might want to specify a physical location where people meet. You might want to specify the dates and times that you meet. And also we'll cover some basics of image editing as well, using some free online tools that you can use to get your images in the right format for the platform. So until then, thanks very much, and as always, if you've got any questions or concerns, then please do drop us an email, Hounslow Connect at hounslow.gov.uk. Thanks very much.